Hello everyone, my name is Cheney Hu, aCloud Product Manager. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the reliability and availability features on our aCloud HCI platform. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So first, I'd like to give you a brief overview of the demo environment. What we have here is totally 5 servers, and we've made 2 clusters with these 5 servers. One cluster is made up by 3 nodes, and we will take it as our primary cluster. And on this cluster, we have 3 VMs running on each node of this inside this cluster. And the other cluster is made up by the rest of the 2 servers, and we will take it as a primary site. These 2 sites are connected with each other. So what we are going to demonstrate in this video is about multi-copy mechanism of our data on the aSUN, high availability in the event of node failure, and the disaster recovery in the event of a total site failure. So first, what I'm going to demonstrate is by plugging out a disk or 2 to see how our aCloud will perform. As we can see from this screen, we have 3 VMs running on 3 nodes inside the primary site. And VM 211 is running on 201. 212 is running on the node 202. And 213 is running on the node 203. And you can see from the pinging interface, my laptop here can access all those VMs, and I can ping through all those VMs. So what I'm going to do next is plug out a disk from one of the nodes. Let's choose this node in the middle. Okay, this node is with the IP ended with 202. So I'm going to randomly choose a disk on this node and see how the VM on this node will cope with that failure. So here, I've already plugged out one hard drive from this node. Let me put it on the desk, and you can see from the interface that our VM 212 that is running on the node 2 is still working well and properly without any interruption. And if I go to the console of 212, you can see that I've created a file, demo test file, and this file was created before we started this demo. And you can see this file is totally accessible, and I can do all the operations inside inside this VM. So even though I plug out one disk from the node, there is no interruption to the business of the VM. So what if I plug out one more disk from this node? Let's try to plug out one more hard drive from the node 2, from the node 202. And you can see still the VM 212 can be accessible, can be pinged through, and all of my files on that VM is accessible and readable and writable. All the operations are normal and fine. That is because we have a multi-copy mechanism on the aSUN, which is our virtual storage we use in the aCloud HCI platform. All of the VM's data is copied into 2 replicas, and those 2 replicas are dispersed across 2 nodes, at least 2 nodes, to make sure that even though one disk or one node failed, your data is still intact without any compromise. So let's push the boundary a little further. What I'm going to demonstrate next is by powering off the node 202. And let's see that VM 212, how it will perform in that situation. So you can see that we have, the power a power stripe here, and all of my 3 nodes in the primary cluster is connected by this power stripe. In the middle is the power socket for the node 202. Now let me power it off. You can see right away from the pinging interface, VM212, which was running on the node 202, now cannot be accessed. I cannot ping it through because this node is failed. But because this VM is configured with high availability, which is a baked-in feature for our hypervisor, we can have a look at this, at the VM console. You can see that actually now I cannot access the console because the VM is gone. It's not running on the node 2 anymore because the node 2 is not working. So what it will do is that it will trigger the HA. The HA mechanism will restart that VM212 on the other surviving node inside the cluster to continue the business. It will take around 1 or 2 minutes for this failover, for this high availability to take effect. Let's wait. Let's wait. Doesn't matter. We will, fast forward. So as you can see here now, that VM has completed the reboot by HA, and it can be pinned through again. We can go back and see where that VM is running. Go to compute on the primary cluster, and let's view the VMs by node, and you can see 202 now it's gone. Okay, and let's find. We can see that 212, the VM that previously was running on node 2, on node 202, now is running on node 203. This is made possible by the high availability feature, which is a natively built-in feature of our platform. Now, let's push the boundary a little further again. What if this entire site, this entire primary site is down? And like I introduced, we have 3 VMs that are running in the cluster. What if this whole cluster went down? What will happen? So what I'm going to do is to power off the rest 2 nodes, and let's see how our disaster recovery solution based on our aCloud will cope with that power outage of the primary site. So what I'm going to do is to shut down the power for the rest 2 nodes, node 201 and node 202. Again, after I shut down the power, you can see that instantly the VMs that were running in the primary cluster now cannot be accessed because the entire primary site just went down due to power outage. Okay, I cannot pin them through. I cannot, operate on those VMs. So SAN4 aCloud has a one-stop disaster recovery solution, and we've already configured our disaster recovery for these 2 sites. Okay, and based on the RPO of 10 seconds. So that means every 10 seconds, the data of those VMs will be replicated from the primary site to the secondary site. And this DR is built on ACMP. SAN4's cloud management platform is a built-in component inside the ACMP, and if you want DR, you just activate a license. You can have the DR right away. So because now the primary site is down, okay, I cannot access my primary ACMP. That is normal because the cluster is down. So what I can do is, I have already configured a standby ACMP on the secondary cluster, secondary side. I can go to the secondary side, secondary ACMP. You can see the interface here, and I can switch to active because now the standby ACMP has detected my primary cluster is down. Okay, I need to take over the management and take over the business. So what I can do is, I will switch this standby ACMP to active mode. And this standby ACMP, because it has already been synced with all the configuration data and files from the primary ACMP. So after it reboots, it will have all the configurations of your disaster recovery information. It will take around a little more than 1 minute for this ACMP to take over the business, to take over the disaster recovery and the cloud management business functionality. And after it's rebooted, we can log in on the standby ACMP that is running inside this standby cluster, and we can go to the disaster recovery and fail over all of my business that was previously running inside the primary side to the secondary side to continue the business in the event of the disasters like power outage or other natural disasters like earthquake or fire. Like I said, it will take around 1 minute to complete this ACMP failover. And in the video, we will have a fast forward mode to accelerate this process. It takes some time. Doesn't matter, we will fast forward in the video just to accelerate this failover. 1 minute, 1.5 minutes at most. So don't worry, it will be okay. Okay, so you see that the standby ACMP has already finished the management failover. So I can log in. And after I log on, I can go to Reliability Center, Disaster Recovery. And as you can see here, I've already configured a aCloud, a aCloud DR plan, and I can go to the backups on the secondary side. And for the backup at the secondary side, I have, 2 of the VMs that were backed up from the primary side to the secondary side. In the event of a disaster occurrence, I can recover those VMs on the secondary side to resume my business. So what I can do is that I can click upon disaster occurrence, because the power outage I just simulated by shutting down the nodes is like a disaster hit. Okay. However, if you are planning to maintenance your primary side, you can click this scheduled migration. On that scheduled migration, the system will migrate all of your workloads at the primary side to the secondary side, and you can shut down your primary side to do the maintenance. After that, after the maintenance is down, you can just migrate those VMs back. In this case, it's like a disaster hit. So I'm going to click the disaster occurrence button, and let's go. We can choose the recovery point of the VMs. So usually I will just leave it by default, because the auto option is based on the latest backup points. So let's leave it by auto. And business failover in the disaster recovery solution is a very important step. So it requires the administrator to confirm the step to make sure that it's a real disaster occurrence situation, so that you need to fail over your business. So administrator has to type in the password to resume this process. So after that, the failover will take place. Okay? Same for aCloud disaster recovery is a local backup and offsite replication disaster recovery solution. So to facilitate an instant recovery in the event of local node failure, we have the attribution mechanism, we have the dual copy, at least the dual copy data that is dispersed across the nodes inside the primary site, and also we will have a backup data inside the primary site to make sure that if your VM is corrupted by some unexpected accident, you can quickly recover your VM from the local backup. And we will also have the offsite replication. So after the local backup is completed, based on the RPO setting on your DR configuration, the backup on the primary side will be replicated to the secondary side. That is why when I log on my standby ACMP, go to disaster recovery, and you see that we have the backups on the secondary side. So now what I'm doing by failing over the business is, the system will recover my VMs that were running on the primary side to the secondary side. Okay, it will recover all the VMs from the backups that it stored on the secondary side to resume the service of those VMs. Usually it will take around 1 to 2 minutes for this VM failover to complete. As you can see now that our VM 212 and 213 now can be pinned through. It's because the VMs have already been successfully failed over to my secondary side. And totally, it took around 5 minutes for this disaster recovery to complete. So it's a very quick process. After you click the ACMP failover and click the VM failover, 1 or 2 minutes, it will complete the process of the management and your business workload failover. So very intuitive and very easy to operate. As you can see from here, Sample aCloud is an infrastructure platform that is suitable to run mission-critical applications, which requires very high level of reliability and availability. From the bottom to the top, we have all kinds of mechanisms to make sure that your business is protected to the very extreme. And thank you for watching this video. I hope this video is helpful to you. It means a little something useful to your business. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.